Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Elizabeth Holmes. From famine to feast, what is driving the sudden shift toward more rainstorms this summer? And will it make a dent in our statewide drought? I spoke with WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner about this. Here's our conversation. Elizabeth, it's good to speak with you today.
Elizabeth, good to speak with you today.
I know, it's like
fun.
It's like Elizabeth squared.
Yes.
So we have thankfully gotten a good amount of rain this month. It's like record-setting at this point, right?
Yes. So over a foot of rain in July, and that's really unheard of unless you have a tropical system. Tropical systems come in, July, August, September, they can really dump some significant rain. But just over, the month with thunderstorms and cold fronts and that sort of thing, we've just been really lucky. We haven't had very much flooding, a little bit of minor flooding, but, it's just been, 3 or 4 days of rain and then a break and 3 or 4 days of rain. We've had these cold fronts come through and just stall and produce this, nice kind of steady, heavy rain, which again is just not a July pattern for us normally.
Mm-hmm. But it's really needed to help with the drought that we've been going through for several months now. What has it done? Has it made much of a dent?
So big dent in so many ways. Earlier in the week, the numbers for the lakes like Falls Lake and Jordan Lake came out earlier in the week, and Jordan Lake is back to what we call full pool. And what they mean by that is it's its normal level. And so same thing with Falls Lake. The numbers came out, and it's back up to 80%, 86% full. So the city of Raleigh is going to drop water restrictions starting on Monday. That was the first bit of good news this week. And then the drought monitor came out, and it was fantastic news. We had been in there are 5 levels of drought when you take a look at the drought monitor. Mm-hmm. And for a bit there, we were in exceptional drought in parts of the viewing area. Extreme drought is the next level down, and we've been in extreme drought for months and months. And finally, most of the viewing area is out of that extreme drought, so that's wonderful. And in terms of the state as a whole, last week it was almost 30% of the state in extreme drought, and this week when it came out, only 10%. So big change statewide, but especially for our viewing area.
Yeah, some really positive news. So we're seeing Raleigh cut back on some water restrictions. I'm sure we'll see other jurisdictions start to do the same thing as well. What are you and the rest of our team of meteorologists kind of looking for as, the summer continues, as hopefully we continue to see rain in our area?
That's right. So I don't think this pattern is going to change anytime soon. We get these pockets in between of rain. Like July was especially hot. We had, these periods where, we're in the upper 90s, with a really high heat index, and then we'd have some rain, and then it would get hot again. Right now, for August, it's looking like, probably fairly normal temperatures with these periods of rain. So I think we'll have some stretches, 4 or 5 days with a stalled front, with some showers and some thunderstorms, still the potential for some severe weather. We've certainly had a good bit of that for the month of July. I think that'll continue through August. So I feel like that we'll continue to chip away at the drought. It doesn't look like July was like an anomaly and we're not going to see that again. It looks like, into August, we should continue that pattern where we're still seeing some significant rain. Mm-hmm.
And this is what we needed because of how long, I guess, the drought had been building up. I remember one of the last times we talked, this had been something kind of in the works since September of last year, I believe.
That's right. Almost a year. So it really started August, September of last year. And what happened was we had a big area of high pressure that just sort of parked itself along the East Coast. And when we say high pressure system, I think people think, is it hot? Pressure doesn't have anything to do with temperature necessarily, but it does have to do with whether the air is sinking or rising. And when the air is rising, it helps to form clouds and precipitation. When the air is sinking, it dries out. So a big area of high pressure over us really helped suppress any showers and thunderstorms. Now, we did have some rain, but from January to July, we had 11 inches of rain. And then in the month of July, we had a whole foot. So, big change in our weather pattern. The high pressure system broke down, finally moved out. And now we should be in this wetter pattern that at least continues through August and maybe into the rest of the fall.
And you mentioned that what we have seen in terms of rainfall hasn't been tied to any kind of tropical system. So what do we anticipate when we might see a tropical system? Do we think that it'll be kind of worse? I mean, we had a lot of trees down, a lot of damage. We unfortunately had someone killed, this week. So, I mean, do we anticipate those storms to pack more of a punch almost?
They have been. So I would say yes. We've had a lot of level 1 and level 2 risks for severe storms. That comes from the Storm Prediction Center, which is a collection of meteorologists in Norman, Oklahoma, that put out those risk levels for the entire country. So they do that. And we've been under them for, a good bit of July. And I do think that probably will continue as well. I wouldn't anticipate a lot of tropical activity this year. We forecasted that to be a low end year, a lower than normal year. A couple of reasons for that. One of them is we're going to have a lot of shear in the atmosphere. And so storms try to develop and the winds are strong in the upper atmosphere and it tears the top of the storms off. So we're in an El Nino year. That tends to be, a quieter season for tropical systems. But instead, we've got this active pattern with cold fronts that's bringing us a lot of showers and thunderstorms. This is likely to end up to be the second wettest July on record, which is just really, really incredible. So we're starting to catch up, especially when you look at January through July. We're looking good. We're not that far behind. But like we were talking about, because this started last August and September, technically for the year, if you start the year, last August, we're still about 7 inches behind. So we still need some rain. But again, I'm hopeful that we'll continue to catch up through the month of August.
Interesting. All right. Anything else that you want to share? I think we hit on everything.
I think we did. Go rain. Keep raining.
Go rain.
Let's go.
Thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download. You can find this show wherever you get your podcasts. That includes Spotify and Apple Music. Follow the show so you don't miss an episode.